Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at some pitching for today, the 3rd of August. It is Sunday. We do have a weird breakdown of slates, just a 6-game main slate today and a 4-game afternoon slate that I might just kind of pop in and look at, just because I think the 4-game afternoon slate has a couple better pitchers. The 6-game slate actually isn't all that exciting from a pitching standpoint. Weather-wise, we should be good. Some wind slightly blowing out in Wrigley. Obviously something to pay attention to. A couple of games, wind blowing in on the slate. If you're playing a slate with Colorado, blowing out slightly. Blowing out in Sacramento and in LA as well. Nothing too crazy, but the slight out to center in Wrigley is obviously something to pay attention to. This is a first look at the pitching options, and I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where the majority of my action is. If you do play in FanDuel, I would cut my pool in half or so. Pricing isn't as tight. You don't have to be as creative. It allows you to get stacks you want with an upper tier-ish pitcher. Now, with all that said and done, let's start with the first game on the slate. Milwaukee, Washington. The Brewers scratched Mizorowski. He's going to the IL with a shin contusion, I believe. Not sure if he just got hit in BP or something yesterday, but Logan Henderson is making the start for the Brewers. Really strong in his short time with Milwaukee. Doesn't throw overly hard, but does have strikeout upside. Washington has been pretty weak overall. It's kind of weird to see him as the most expensive guy. But he is somebody that we want to use. We would have used Mizorowski pretty heavily. So that one kind of hurts us. But Logan Henderson, certainly somebody we're going to use. I have no interest in using Brad Lord at this point. Or probably ever. His ceiling so far this year has been 15 fantasy points. I know he was thrown in relief for much of the season, but he hasn't been terrible the last couple starts, but he's just not a big K guy at all. And I'd rather bank on the Brewers' bats in that matchup. Next game, Kansas City and Toronto. Based on this slate, I'm going to be using both Lugo and Bassett. I don't love it. Neither team strikes out all that much. So I do think that upside is kind of limited for both pitchers. With that said, like I mentioned, the slate just kind of dictates it. Lugo's K numbers have been stronger on the road. Walk rate's much better when on the road. So things kind of line up for him. It's just the fact that Toronto is not a big K squad overall. The other side, Bassett, coming off of an atrocious start. I had a couple of solid starts prior to that. It's a little bit all over the place. But when he's at home, he's at his best. And that is where he's at this evening. K rate much stronger. Home runs allowed much lower. Home run per 9 far lower as well. I'm not overly worried about the Kansas City offense, other than the fact, like I mentioned, they are not big in the strikeout department. Minnesota, Cleveland. I am going to be considering Joey Cantillo. I'm not sure why, other than the fact that I'm annoyed that the Twins traded everybody away. 20 fantasy points 2 starts ago. It's pretty solid. His walk rate is super high. 3+ walks in 4 out of his last 5. That's kind of rough to pay attention to, but he has been weaker at home, which is where he's at. His K numbers are actually pretty strong. I didn't realize he was striking out that many. About 12 per 9. It's pretty good. Quick math off the top of my head, but he's been better when on the road, so unfortunately he's at home. But with that said, the Twins lineup has got to be super weak. With all the trades they made, etc. I think they're going to be forced to play a couple left-handed bats against Cantillo as well. Didn't realize Urania ended up in Minnesota. So exciting. With that said, I'm just not using Urania. Not that I'm afraid of Cleveland's offense. I just don't think he's good. So, I mean, he's not good, but just no reason to go there. San Francisco and the Mets. I think both pitchers are going to be in play. Wisenhunt does have a walk issue. Did so in the minor leagues. Wasn't terrible to start out in his debut. Not overly exciting, obviously just 5 fantasy points, but I do like left-hand pitching against the Mets, but he's kind of like a sprinkle in, last man in. Like I feel much better playing Bassett or Lugo over Wisenhunt, but I am going to keep him in just a little bit. He might make his way out if I go 34. Trying to do some math. Yeah, there could be, 6 or 7 pitchers ahead of him, which would cause him to fall out of it. But he's in consideration. Frankie Montas is in consideration as well, coming off an atrocious start. Hasn't shown any big-time upside, but 21 fantasy points, 19. Decent enough, especially for this slate. I think there's plenty of upside. I'm not overly afraid of San Francisco. He has been at his best when pitching at home in New York so far, so those things kind of line up. It's kind of a close your eyes and take him kind of a play for me. The Yankees and the Marlins. Luis Hill finally making his season debut. Last year's AL Rookie of the Year. He's been out since a lat strain in March. He did make, I think it was 4 minor league rehab starts. Built up 75 pitches. They're saying aren't likely to push him past the 90 pitch mark. From what I've seen so far this year from a lot of teams, they kind of double up similar pitch count numbers. So I honestly would not be shocked to see him stay in the 75 to 80 range. But with that said, I love the matchup, and we know what kind of a pitcher he is. He's just not somebody that I would trust all that much on FanDuel. I haven't looked at pricing or anything. But I do think he's certainly viable on this slate at 8,600. The other side, Edward Cabrera. I like the upside. I like the ability. He flashes plenty of upside. It's a tougher matchup, obviously, but there are strikeouts to be had. His numbers overall far better when pitching at home. Ks are slightly down, but the rest of his numbers much better when he gets to take the mound in Miami. So he's somebody that I definitely want to probably be overweight on significantly, just because if he puts it together, that's going to take away some of the Yankees bats that I assume will be somewhat more popular, just because they are the Yankees. So Edward Cabrera is definitely somebody we need to utilize. Baltimore, Chicago. The wind blowing out. Don't really want to go there. Colin Ray's had some pretty solid starts this season, but the last couple have been pretty bad. I just don't think I want to get there at all. Not really a big K upside guy. 14 home runs allowed in 62 home innings. That's around 2 per 9. So it's not the best spot with the wind blowing out to center at this point. So no reason to go with pitching in that game. Taking a look at this 4-gamer real quick. DeGrom, obviously ton of upside. Made a few starts against Seattle this season, I believe. 2 starts. Decent, but not great at all. Just doesn't allow runs, hits. But his walks have been up against Seattle for some reason. Half of his walks, or actually, not half of his walk numbers over the last 10 starts. But just under a quarter of his walks on the season have come against Seattle in 2 starts, and he's made 21 starts. So it tells you that it's kind of an aberration from that standpoint. It's been better when at home, but his K numbers are super strong on the road. I like the upside. It is definitely volatile, but he's got to be the number one guy on the slate. Dylan Cease, somebody that I thought might get traded. Pitching at home, where he's been far better overall. Does take on a team that doesn't strike out all that much, but still, I like the upside. I just don't like these walk numbers. Over his last 10 starts, he has just 3 starts of under 3 walks. So, but when things come together, you get a 0 walk, 10 strikeout type performance, like he did here against the Nationals. Just a super volatile guy, but the upside is just so nice. Eduardo Rodriguez, probably going to utilize him just because the A's do have strikeouts, but he gives up home runs, walks. Strikeouts have kind of come down a little bit, but there is upside in those strikeouts to higher. His road numbers have been atrocious. That 1.7 whip is disgusting. It's a gross one. It's most likely going to fail scenario, but given the slate, there is upside to be one of the top 2 scorers on this particular slate. Logan Evans, the other side of the Texas-Seattle game from DeGrom. Probably have to consider him just because of the slate, but he was not good against Texas the first time he faced them. But he's been really good at home. K numbers aren't very good, but overall really good in Seattle. I think he's somebody that we want to utilize. You consider Sean Burke. He might be a better play than Evans, to be honest. Angels do strike out plenty. He's coming off of an 8K performance in just 4 2/3 against a difficult Cubs lineup. Pitching on the road where he has not been as good is obviously a worry. Shut down the Angels the first time he faced them. Just 3 strikeouts though, which is kind of gross to see. But Sean Burke probably the 3rd best option on the slate by looking at things. It feels gross to say. Kachanowicz, somebody that we've definitely used randomly. I don't know if I want to get there, but he had success against the White Sox before. He's probably even a better option than Evans is at this point. Perkins has been throwing in relief, and suddenly they're going to shove him into the rotation. I could see him, throwing 60 pitches or so, but I just don't know if he's going to get anywhere for us. I need to look into some of his minor league numbers to get an idea of what we can expect. He's min-priced. It is a short slate, but I just don't think we can get there. I think I'd rather, use these guys ahead of them. So, but there we have it. There's our first look at pitching. If you enjoyed or bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc. I'll put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's R-A-Z, for 10% off monthly. And like always, we do have our merch store. I'll put a link in the description below. You can check out my hoodie over there at the Creator Spring store that we do have. So, as always, best of luck, everybody.